Derm, what's going on? What's going on with you lot? Shambles, the lot of yous. Guys, what's happened, Derm? It's all gone to pot. The WhatsApp group must be going off.
I don't take part in any of that, Jamie.
Get out of that one, Derm.
I'm still on slate and chalk.
Derm, look, obviously it's an absolute stinker for David Coote. I don't know if you've been listening to the show, but on a human level, you got to feel sorry for him a little bit. You know, he's been stitched up royally, but can't get away from the fact that it's out there. The video's there. I mean, where does he go from here? He's going to lose his job, isn't he?
Well, I don't know what's going to happen, Jamie. I know as much as you. I saw somebody alerted me this afternoon the video had been released, and they sent me, a text of it, and I looked at it. Then I hear the PGMO have made a statement that he's been suspended pending investigation, which they obviously have to do. But there's a process they'll go through, Jamie, and it's only when that process is thoroughly examined that the outcome will be known.
What does that investigation entail? What does it look like? How will the PGMO go about it?
Difficult for me to say, Jace, because I've never been involved in this in my life. You know, I've never known anybody involved in anything like this. So I suppose that the first thing they will have to try and authenticate whether the video is real or AI, so to speak.
I think he's come out and admitted it, hasn't he? I think that's.
Yeah, I think he said.
Oh, has it? I think that is accepted now. That the video is him.
Right. Well, you're ahead of me there. Right. I didn't know that. Right. As I say, I learned about 3:30 this afternoon, and then I've been bobbing and weaving all evening. So that's as much as I know. But the investigation will obviously hinge on a number of things, and he will have to speak to his bosses.
Look, obviously for him it's a bit of a nightmare, but obviously Liverpool fans clearly, irate about this one, and it brings to light decisions that have been made in the past, and corruption in the game, Derm. And look, it's hard to get away from, but they're the questions that are going to have to be asked and raised now, aren't they, and answered in a way. But you can't think that any referees has gone into a game, even if he's got an opinion on Jurgen Klopp and Liverpool, if that is his opinion, then that's up to him. But I can't, for the life of me, think that he'd go into a Liverpool game not being professional.
I don't think any referee would go into any game, Jamie, without being professional. I think there's such scrutiny now, not only from your bosses, and the scrutiny from the PGMO on each game is really, really immense. And to give you an example of how it is, every what they call key match incident goes to an independent panel of ex-players, and they vote on what they think the outcome should be. So that's how tough it is. The referees go through it. I mean, he's been on the league for, I think somebody said 9 years. Well, it's difficult enough to get to that level, Jamie, honestly. It's a bit like climbing a mountain. It's even more difficult to stop there. To stop there for 9 years, you've got to have good CV. Moving on from that, I would say any referee goes into a game, referees what I call 90% on instinct, in so much as you see something, you judge it on your instincts, in so much as you know the laws of the game, you have experience, and all that comes together. You don't have time to think through any backdrop of anything. You just make a decision on what you see. And if you see how quick decisions have to be made, you see that you haven't got time to think of anything other than the match itself.
The spotlight, as if it wasn't already bright, it's going to shine even brighter now on Howard Webb and the PGMOL. This is bad news for them, isn't it? They now need to be seen the white and white. I'm not suggesting for 1 second that it's not, but this, you can understand and see why Liverpool fans are angry and upset, and you can understand also why they do feel that maybe some of the decisions that he gave that didn't go their way, that might have been influenced, because this is unprecedented as far as I'm aware. How is Howard Webb going to be looking at this now, and the PGMOL moving forward?
Well, I think first and foremost they'll look for fairness, Jace, won't they? That he's got to be able to give his case. He's got to be able to explain himself, and that will unfold how they see it. Regarding referees, it's the one problem a referee has in life. Every referee's had it in history, is that you are subjected to spectators seeing things through the prism of their own club colours.
Yes, this is true.
And every supporter remembers every decision that they perceive goes against them.
Correct.
Unfortunately, football supporters don't see the ones where they've had a lucky break, where it's gone forward, because what you have to remember, for every decision that goes against you and you feel aggrieved about that, there must be a winner at the other end. It must have gone for the other team, so to speak. So that's what I'm saying. People remember what goes against them. They don't remember where they've had a lucky break. So, that's always going to be the case. So I think every referee's subject to that.
He mentioned the video about the way that Jurgen Klopp spoke to him as a fourth official on the game. The referees have to put up with a lot, not just from fans and the players, but also the managers. Before, during, and after, there's always interrogations and so on. How difficult is it for that fourth official when the game's going on and trying to manage the two referees, staying in their technical area, being part of the game without being part of the game? It feels like a thankless task, but just explain to us a little bit what it can be like.
I think at times when it gets tough and the game gets feisty, and they're like, sometimes you feel like a catalyst between two chemicals. You're just acting as a peacemaker between people. You're trying to calm things down and make it easier for the referee, especially if the game's difficult. I mean, if you look back to the famous Roma Europa Cup game where Anthony Taylor refereed, one of the toughest games you'll ever see in your life. And Michael Oliver must have done more work that night as fourth official than he's done in any major game he's done around the world. That's how tough it can be. So when it's, I mean, yourself, when you've played in games, some games, you can go through and think, oh, that was brilliant. What a great night I've had. And that's what referees want. I refereed on Saturday morning and I walked off and I said to all the players, thank you for giving me a beautiful morning. It's fantastic. It's great to give up my time for that, get that enjoyment. Sometimes when games don't go like that and they turn against you and you have to really dig in and, make decisions that are going to upset players because they've done something wrong and you have to send players off or, yellow card a lot of players, it's not as enjoyable, but you still have to do it. It becomes part and parcel of the game.
Just lastly on David Coote, do you think he'll referee in the Premier League again?
I really don't know, Jamie, honestly. I'm not fudging the issue. I really don't know because I've never known anything like this before. I have no idea. I've never been involved in a process like that. I've never known anybody. None of my friends have ever been involved in a process like that. So I don't know how it pans out.
Do you know him? Do you know?
He came on the league just after me.
Right.
So I know of him, if you like.
Right, okay.
I bumped into him a few times when the VA was actually in Stockley Park at IMG. Now it's moved across the road. We don't see them, but I don't know him as a person, to be honest. No.
This is a nightmare, isn't it, for PGMOL and Howard Webb?
Right. I think it's not a nice situation for anybody. It's not just the PGMO and Howard Webb. It's David himself. It's referees, because what you don't want, you alluded earlier that people go about, oh, there's this, that, and the other. What you have to remember, there's a lot of referees now that are looking at this thinking, well, how's this happened? How we got here? How's it going to pan out? How will it affect me? How will I be looked at? Because you have to remember that the Premier League referees are the most wanted in the world. They pride themselves on, if you see how many major cup finals they've done in FIFA, in UEFA, how many invites they get. Only recently there was these invites to go to the Middle East to referee. I got invited in my day to referee cup finals in other countries, and there's many referees have done it other than me from the Premier League. It's a fantastic accolade when you're that much in demand. And that's because A, they're very, very good at their job, and B, they're seen as whiter than white, if you like.
Yeah, well, he ain't, no, is he, David Coote? He's he's put himself in a massive hole with what he's come out with. Silly boy, and he's going to have to live with that now.
The Sports Bar with Jamie O'Hara and Jason Cundy. Monday to Thursday nights from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.